Hi, this is Leah and Hannah, and we dissected a perch and looked up information on pea plants.
Some general information about these two species is for our non-animal species. The common name is pea plant. It's found in phylum Angiosperm, and the general characteristics for the plants, they have flowers, which is the reproductive organ of those plants. The sporophyte is differentiated into stems, roots, and leaves. The stamens and the carpels are organized into a structure called a flower. It's a vascular plant, therefore the vascular system has two vessels in the xylem and companion cells in phloem. The root system is complex, which consists of the cortex, xylem, phloem, and epidermis. The type of environment the pea plant is found, they can grow in various habitats, but it's mostly found in terrestrial habitat. For the animal species, the common name is yellow perch. It's a type of a bony fish. It's found in phylum Chordata. And the general characteristics for the phylum Chordata, they're bilaterally symmetrical and triploblastic. They have the characteristics notochord, dorsal nerve cord, and pharyngeal slits. And the environment it's found in its freshwater aquatic environment, which includes rivers, ponds, and lakes. The similarities between both is that they are both multicellular organisms and they have diploid somatic cells. For sensitivity, in pea plant, the sensitivity includes tropism, which is the curvature of stem or root of a plant when its sides are subjected to stimuli. And these types of stimuli include light, humidity, and gravity in an equal form. Plants can grow towards the stimuli, which is termed as positive tropism, or away from the stimuli, which is referred to as negative tropism. Tropism types are determined by the affecting factor, like phototropism is due to light, geotropism or gravitropism, it's sensitive towards gravity, and hydrotropism, which is sensitive towards water. For yellow perch have lateral line, which allows them to detect water vibrations and changes in water wave. This allows them to find prey or escape. They have a pair of nostrils on either side of the head, which is also referred to as external nares. Water is taken up through these openings, which is passed through sensitive membrane, allowing it to detect chemicals in water. Fish also have eyes with round lens and focus by moving the lens forward or backwards, rather constricting their pupil and make quick focus to see potential prey. For both, the similarities both are sensitive to changes in environmental conditions. However, these conditions are different. For example, in pea plant, it's sensitive to light, water, and gravity, while in yellow perch, it's sensitive to movement. Excretion of gaseous waste in pea plant takes place through stomatal pores on leaves. Oxygen released during photosynthesis is used for respiration, while CO2 released during respiration is used for photosynthesis. Excess gases are released to the environment through the stomata. Excess of water is also excreted from the plant body through the stomatal pores and from the surfaces of fruits and stems. For yellow perch, since it's a freshwater fish, a lot of water is taken through the mouth, which leaves through the operculum. Excess water is absorbed to the body through osmosis, which forms part of the urine that is constantly formed in the kidney by osmoregulation, then exits through ureter to the urinary bladder, and then leaves the fish body. In both, they remove excess water as part of their waste. For gaseous exchange, it happens through the stomata in pea plant, which is found on the leaf. In presence of sunlight, the guard cells in the leaf absorbs water by osmosis, becoming turgid, and the stomata opens. This allows carbon 4 oxide to enter, which is usually utilized for photosynthesis to synthesize simple sugars such as monosaccharides, and oxygen and water vapor leaves as a byproduct of photosynthesis. In the dark, the guard cells lose water by osmosis, becoming flaccid, and the stoma closes. For the yellow perch, it has gills, which is the gas exchange structure. When the perch opens its mouth, The pressure reduces inside its mouth, creating a low pressure region resulting in water rushing through the mouth. When it is full, it closes the mouth, forcing the water through the gills. The water contains dissolved oxygen. The gills are made of the gill filaments, which are highly folded. This is to increase the surface area for gas exchange, with also huge network of capillaries to increase the concentration gradient for efficient gas exchange. Oxygen is in low concentration in the gills, creating a steep concentration gradient, allowing the dissolved oxygen to diffuse through the gills to the capillaries and the carbon dioxide out to the flowing water, which exits through the operculum. The water flowing is in the opposite direction as the direction of blood in the blood vessels, which is referred to the countercurrent exchange, which maintains a steep concentration gradient of the respiratory gases. The gill rakers, it's not directly used as a gas exchange structure, but in part it is used to increase the surface area of the gills that are in contact with water, meaning that the highly spaced gill rakers are, the larger the gills, hence more oxygen can be absorbed during gaseous exchange. For similarities, both take in oxygen gas and releases carbon dioxide as waste.
Nutrients and digestion. Angiosperm are a part of trophic level 1, primary producers. They are autotrophs, meaning that they receive nutrients through photosynthesis, where they capture sunlight in the chloroplast of their leaves and take in water through their roots and carbon dioxide through their stomata, which are holes in their leaves. Then, in the stroma of the chloroplast, they convert carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight into glucose for nutrients and produce O2 as a byproduct, which exits through the stomata and it exits with the excess water. The angiosperms store glucose in their leaves. When the nutrients are needed, the angiosperm uses vascular tissues called phloem. When the glucose nutrients are used completely, they are stored in the vacuoles of the cells. The perch, which are part of trophic level 3, secondary consumers, obtain nutrients through their mouths, where they have sharp teeth. After this, the food moves to their esophagus and then their stomach, where it is digested. Then the food moves to the pyloric ceca, where digestive enzymes are secreted to absorb the nutrients. After this, the food moves to the liver, where it is greeted by enzymes that also help with digestion. In the intestine, the food completes digestion and the nutrients are absorbed. Finally, the waste leaves through the anus. The similarities among the two are that fish secrete waste through their anus, while plants do it through their stomata. Plants also take in CO2 through their stomata, whereas fish take in food through their mouth. Nutrients are moved through the vascular tissues of the phloem in the angiosperm, but in the perch they are moved through the intestine. Circulation and transportation. Pea plants circulate fluids and nutrients throughout their bodies using phloem for downward motion and xylem for upward motion. The phloem are used to transport sugars through the action of mass flow, which requires ATP. The xylem are used for water transport, which requires energy. Additionally, they are used for the transportation of minerals through the diffusion and active transport. The way these nutrients primarily enter the angiosperm is through their stomata. The stomata open and close. When they are open, they take in greater CO2, they have a higher photosynthetic rate, faster glucose production. However, this comes with the downfall of increased water loss. This can be related to its environment. When the angiosperm is in an environment with less water, this would mean that the stomata would be closed and they would deal with the inefficiency of photosynthesis. For the perch, they have a closed circulatory system. The heart of the perch, which consists of 2 chambers, pushes blood through the veins, capillaries, and arteries. The heart is able to circulate blood due to the oxygen brought through the gills. This is related to the environment because they live in fresh water, meaning that their gills save ions. Phloem and xylem in the pea plant are similar to the capillaries in the perch because they are tubes which circulate throughout the body. Life cycle. In the angiosperm, the life cycle starts with a haploid spore cell that comes from the anther, where it is turned into a pollen grain. This pollen grain travels from the anther into the stigma and down the ovary where it meets the ovule, where the eggs are stored. The egg becomes fertilized by the pollen grain and develops a seed coat for protection and eventually turns into a seedling and finally a flower. This reproduction is affected by pollinators. If the environment in which the plant resides experiences fewer than normal pollinators, then angiosperms will be unable to reproduce. In the perch, A male and female mate. The sperm is given by the male from his testes, as seen in the picture, and the egg is in the female ovaries. Once fertilized, the female releases the eggs, which eventually turn into larvae and then juveniles. The juveniles migrate, and then by the age of 2.5 are able to reproduce. Because these perch spawn in early spring when the ice is melting, the mating of the perch is heavily influenced by environmental conditions. Angiosperm have ovaries and something similar to testes called anther in each plant, while perch either have ovaries or testicles. Fun facts. Fun fact about angiosperms is that they are the first species in the plant kingdom. They appeared much earlier than many other plant species. A fun fact about the perch is that the yellow perch can reach a maximum length of about 16 inches and weigh over 2 pounds. Now I know that this picture isn't mine, however, that is one large perch.